Hi, my name is Dingi Masakala of Dingi Business Consulting. I'm a starting up company. I still have my first year, so I still have 14 years to go. My question is actually around business plans. I mean, I know with Race Corp, they say that we have to get rid of business plans. Like as a consultant, I just want to find out from you, what advice will you give for companies that are starting out where we see that business plans don't play a role? And my question again, the second question is about investments. For Mr. Price, True Words and Clientele, will you advise if I should invest in them?
Do you want to take a few questions, or shall we?
We've got one here, and yeah, so we've got two questions, and we will take answers, and that's it. Thanks.
Okay.
Prof Saville, Stephen Furr from Inkonki. I just needed to thank you publicly for passing me in my PhD thesis. Thank you. He was one of the examiners in my PhD thesis about putting humans on the balance sheet. It was something that I don't think any accountant would have marked, but I needed to publicly thank you. That's all I needed to say.
Thank you, Stephen. Let's go back to the business plan issue. Here again, I'll talk very personally. About 2 years ago, I was going through some old boxes and I pulled out my first business plan for my company that I wrote in 1997. It was very good comedy. What I imagined I would be doing and what the world would look like is not remotely close to what I'm doing. But the business plan, I think, is critical because it forces you to sit down, put down on paper the way you see the world, what you imagine your strengths and weaknesses to be, how you might deal with competitive challenges and how you might harness opportunities. And so whilst business plans may not take you to exactly where you imagine that you will be, I think that they are a fantastic discipline. In the same breath, in the research that we've done on trying to figure out what it is that contributes to business success, you'll remember my point about the constant innovation and iteration. And that is, in terms of a business plan, I think you could imagine that you are essentially rewriting your business plan constantly. Not dramatic rewrites, but that you are filling in some detail, putting down different colors, crossing out a line, adding a new paragraph, that these iterations tend to be modest or small, but they are ongoing contributions to your competitive strength. Business plans, critical. Changing business plans, possibly even more critical. Should you invest in those three firms? I'm a deep value investor. So the first question that I'm going to ask is, are these firms great firms? The answer to that without qualification is yes. These are three world-class businesses. To change the recognition of a great business into a great investment is you have to ask, what's the price? Is this a good price to pay for this asset? And if the price is very high, then you've bought a great business, but you haven't made a great investment. Canon Asset Managers will answer that question in looking after your assets. The short answer is we actually are invested in one of those firms, but not the other two. That firm's name begins with C.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Before the professor goes, can we ask him one more question?
Who's the amigo? There's an amigo there, Prof.
Do you mind if we ask a question? It's Bernie Funroff from Eskom. Given the contrasting pictures you drew for us of a triple dip recession but our relatively strong national balance sheet. How do you see the prospects for us being able to fund our very ambitious long-term infrastructure program in South Africa?
That's a great question. I'll go to Zambia first to answer the question. Zambia recently raised a $750 million bond on the Eurobond market. They raised it at 2.5% above US Treasury rate, and the bond issue was 15 times oversubscribed. The world is awash with liquidity, and it has a voracious appetite for a strong balance sheet, well-funded assets. I see no reason why South Africa's assets don't fit into that pool. I think that we have a very good prospect of funding that if we are to raise debt. I must wonder aloud if we can't raise equity also. And in last year's financial statements, Eskom revalued their property, plant and equipment. And the revaluation took the property, plant and equipment from 250 billion historical valuation to just over 500 billion. If you were to realize that asset, you have 500 billion of funding. There are lots of ways in which we can fund. I think that our prospects are good, helped by the fact that we have world-class macroeconomic policies, world-class.